So this TikToker named Offwagon is pretty popular. To be honest, I'm not on this bubble in TikTok. I'm not in this bubble. So all of the people I'm going to talk about are basically new to me, except, funny enough, kind of new to me, but actually been watching his content is Jamel. And Jamel just came across my feed and actually had a run-in with this guy named, sorry, let's go back to it, Jawagon. And Jawagon just put out a statement because this woman here, Potty Mouth Pollyanna, just came forward with allegations, and she's one of, I think, 4 women so far. There might be more. Some people are saying 3, some people are saying 4. And he, Jawagon, is known to be a huge outspoken, quote, leftist advocate. And you can see from his work that he's been covering ICE raids and things related to that. So you can see this video here. Oops, I'm sorry, it's muted, my bad.
Changed tactics to target children. According to staff members on the ground at some Minneapolis and St. Paul schools, plainclothes ICE agents have been approaching volunteers and staff impersonating journalists and members of Indivisible. They have been asking about transportation operations for children, been asking to take pictures.
So he's pretty popular. If you go to his main channel, he has almost 800,000 followers on TikTok. Nothing to scoff at. 19 million views in total. He's got a ton of videos, okay? He's in Minnesota, so that's a pretty big deal. And he's a pretty big voice. But I don't know who he is. Isn't that amazing how people can have such big followings and I don't know who they are? But that's the bubbles, right? That's us being kind of like together and isolated at the same time. We're all doing different things. Well, he posted a statement after the women came forward. It says, in regards to recent accusations, this is his statement. I want to start by saying I am incredibly sorry to the people I have hurt and the people I have let down. Being intoxicated does not change any behavior that was mine and my responsibility. And while my recollection of the accusations are limited, I believe and take responsibility for them. I'm deeply ashamed of my actions at the bar, the pain I have caused, and the disappointment I am to myself and all whose trust I have violated. I am seeking counseling and will be taking a step. Shoot, his username is blocking this. Hold on, let me go to this one. I am seeking counseling and will be taking a step back. My sincerest apologies. Now, of course, this statement we've seen a billion gazillion times by predators, right? It's always this, I'm going to counseling. Always, always, always. And I think it's because they think that's what we want to hear, but that's not what we want to hear, especially in the way that he made the statement. So if you go to his comment section, people are very unhappy. And someone said, please check in on his wife and make sure she's okay, which I didn't even realize as I was reading about this guy this morning that he had a wife. So he's married. And now there's like all these women who have come forward. This person says you'll be charged and be jailed if women stand up, which I'm sure Mandy is raring to go. This is an admission of guilt. Drinking is no excuse. Bro, releasing a statement instead of showing your face, shame, and actual remorse is a coward's way out. So then you go to this woman here is, I guess, the first woman to speak out. So I just want to go ahead and let her speak for herself. And then we'll get to the other TikToks that I have ready for us.
So. And he fucking violated that. Yesterday, Jordan released this statement with regards to the accusations that have been made against him. I am here to say that I am essentially victim A. I'm the person who came forward first. In this statement, which is really not taking accountability, he says, and while my recollection of the accusations are limited, I believe and take responsibility for them. So now let me tell you my recollection, because it's pretty fucking vivid. Friday, January 16th, we were all out in Chicago. We had all had some drinks. We convened at this bar at the end of the night, and at the back of the bar, Jordan and his friend sitting in a booth behind a table. I come back there. Jordan's like, come on. And they make room. And I remember getting a vibe. I could tell Jordan was super drunk. And like my spidey senses, and I saw the space. I go, my ass isn't going to fit there. Like I was trying to like be just like, I'm just going to stand. But they were like, no, come on. So I against my better judgment, sat down. It's important to know I had this big winter coat and it was in my lap. That will be important in a minute. So we're sitting there. Jordan and I get talking immediately about Minnesota. I think his hand was like this at one point, and we were talking, and it was like familiar. We've been friends for a long time. I thought I could trust him. I didn't think anything of it. I see, according to this, when he broke it down for somebody else, he asked his friend what had happened, and it was like he was just flirty. I could see that. I could see how that was the point of view.
Hold up. I'm gonna
like this at one point, and we were talking, and it was like familiar. We've been friends for a long time. I thought I could trust him. I didn't think anything.
I hate that she even used that language for herself. I hate that we do this. We train not her. I love her. I support her. I don't know who she is, but I support her. We use this language of like, I should have known better. Or I thought I could trust him, or I thought this. Of course we did. Of course we do. Right? But hold on. I want to read this text.
I see, according to this.
Okay. The text is really small. It says, I appreciate you coming to me. I was certainly very intoxicated and I have little recollection. There's no excuse. We were in a crowded bar. And from what my buddy who was there with us said, there was some consensual flirting and that ended at the bar. I talked to the accuser who said it was consensual flirting, but went a little too far. I apologized profusely and took accountability with her for my actions. Then this happened. This was all in public. I have always said, believe women. So I'm choosing to believe women, even though it's very hard for me in this moment. It's a little blurred here. Obviously, you never expect to be the one they are saying believe all women about. I'm going to put out a statement. I'm so incredibly ashamed. Yeah, so there's a multi-layer to this already where you are socializing, there is alcohol, but also, do you never drink? Do you always do this when you drink? Why were you flirting? How cognizant were you? But also, like, how frustrating for everybody in that situation. Again, we don't know the whole story yet, but you can just imagine it so easily. How frustrating is the situation that you think like you're with safe people, no one's going to do anything while they're intoxicated, and then one people that you think definitely isn't going to do anything, not only does it, but then he talks about consensual flirting. Consensual flirting what? Aren't you married? What do you mean consensual flirting? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is this consensual flirting meaning your wife isn't on it? Like it's an open marriage? What does that even mean, right?
When he broke it down for somebody else, he asked his friend what had happened, and it was like he was just flirty. I could see that. I could see how that was the point of view from them. His hand was on my thigh, and it did kind of move north, and I did, push it up, but he was drunk, and we were just talking. I did not think he would cross the line. My friend Ross comes over.
And in her head, if she's thinking, oh, he's drunk, he doesn't know it, she's gonna push him away, but not think anything of it. Because we give people I don't want to say excuse, but we give people an out of, oh, he's drunk, he didn't know. But also, she shouldn't have to be in that position. She shouldn't have to be responsible because when he's drunk, he touches people. You know what I'm saying? This shouldn't have to be her responsibility. And I understand that people feel like, and I, in spirit, when I agree with you that we should understand where people are coming from and understand that he was drunk, but also, if you are drunk and you get handsy, you shouldn't be drinking. This should not be other people's responsibility. You know what I mean?
Hands me a little toy car. Now I'm such a nerd. I thought this little car was so cute. And I am sorry, I forgot it, Ross. I think you'll understand why in a minute. So I'm sitting there playing with it. My hands are occupied. I have a coat in my lap, and under my coat, I feel Jordan shove his hand in my pants. Now I stopped it before it got to the desired location, I imagine. But I fawned. I didn't know what to do. I was like, Jordan, no, we're not doing that. And I just remember him being like, yeah, we're not doing that. I didn't know what to do because I was so fucking caught off guard. But they wouldn't have seen it because I had this fucking coat here. Do you not think I wish I'd have made a goddamn scene? I wish I would have fought. I wish I would have said something. I wish I would have not had a coat in my lap so they would have seen what he did. Absolutely. But I didn't. And so I saw an opportunity to get up when people were going to karaoke. I saw him go over and start kind of like dancing and not paying attention. And I saw my friend Maggie, mermaid Maggie. I love her.
This is so frustrating. Guaranteed it happened. We know it happened. But also so frustrated for her because see how now it's her responsibility? See how now people are going to paint it as like, oh, he was drunk, dude. He didn't even mean it. Be cool, bro. Be chill. And you're just sitting here like, but you know what I mean? That's exactly what the narrative is going to be. They are going to victim blame her. They're going to say, be cool, bro. What are you going to send a guy to jail for like a drunk moment? That's what they're going to say.
Love you. I said, do you want to get out of here? And she said, yeah. So we bounced. And I'm glad I did because as we were leaving to hit that Uber, I remember the sensation of like, I don't want him with us because I don't trust him. And I was like looking over my shoulder, hoping he wouldn't see us leaving. That says so much. I was processing what had happened in real fucking time and I was scared of him seeing us leave. That says so fucking much. So we left and we got to the hotel and I was right because you know what he did? He called me. Called me and wanted my room number. And I said, Jordan, I am not giving you my room number. And he repeatedly was asking me no less than fucking 10 times, saying things like, oh, I just want to come hang out. It'll be fine. And I'm like, that we both know that's not true. Go to bed. You'll thank me in the morning. Go to bed.
Oh my God.
I said no at least 10 times. He disregarded consent at least 10 times. I finally said, Jordan, you're drunk. Go to bed. Good night. And I hung up. I woke up in the morning to find that he had tried to call me and he had said, oh, I can't get into my room. Bullshit. Go to the front desk. But no, like I was going to let him in mine.
Oh my God.
I wasn't feeling 100%. I never drink. So and he leaves me with like a migraine and ickiness. So my friend Matt USMC and Grady, who's like my brother and one of my best friends, stopped by with some Sprite and some popcorn. And I said, something happened with Jordan last night. And I need to tell you. And I said, we were at the bar. His hand was on my thigh. It escalated. I left. We got back. And then he called and would not accept no for an answer. I didn't let him in my room, but he tried over and over and over. And Matt didn't know what had exactly happened, but he knew that that was a violation even in and of itself. I expected Jordan to talk to me Saturday. I thought he'd ask me what happened. I thought he would talk to me about what he did, but he didn't. Didn't talk to me Sunday, didn't talk to me Monday, didn't talk to me Tuesday until I had had enough of the silence, and I texted him and said, dude, this is what you did. And again, even in that, I said, it was a little flirty, and then it escalated.
You know what's so frustrating though? And this is why I say like, and I'm going to show you, well, hold on, pause with me for just a second. Okay. Transition into this TikTok here, because as much as it sounds like I'm just harping on the boy bubble and I keep talking about boys in the bubble, it's because of these situations. Okay. So here's another lady. This is Stella. Okay. Just pause with me and go to Stella for a second. Okay.
I hope I don't offend any of my fellow.
She is not one of the victims as far as I know. She's just a person in this space.
I really hope I don't offend any of my fellow political content creators with what I'm about to say. But I made a very conscious decision a long time ago not to hang out with or get together with people on here. And maybe it's the cynical New Yorker in me. I barely trust people I know in real life, let alone on the internet. And the news about Offwagon just solidified that decision for me. I mean, he had reached out to me a couple of times to do something together, and I was always like, yeah, sure, someday. But that's crazy, bro. For real. And am I going to say I'm surprised? No. A golden retriever is still a dog at the end of the day that can turn around and bite you. So the only thing...
Look, I don't know her content. I don't know any of these people, but you don't have to know that this is a pattern. I don't know any of these content creators, but there is a pattern here that is so obvious. It is very easy when people are very polarized to rise to prominence by having the quote good opinion. The issue is, who are we making famous? Who are we making popular? And so he used his popularity and his status to do exactly this, right? And that's why people are like, oh, I'm so disappointed. Do you even know anything about this guy? That's the thing about being content creators. Maybe people do. Maybe he's like super transparent, but like, do we really know anything? That's why I ask people, like, how do you come to that conclusion about your values? Why do you think this is right or wrong? Is it an embodied experience? Is it real for you? Or is it just something you think is right? Because again, when I made my last podcast on why conservative men are predators, people were like, yeah, but what about liberal or leftist men? Sure, people who lie about their values can be predators. But if you're embodying, if it's really real for you, if it's true for you, you wouldn't do this to people. That's why I say to women who are really bitter and for rightfully so, very scared of men, I say to them, it's not the fact that he's a man, but it might be the fact that he is engaging in men as a system. Like, men as a people are not the problem, it's men as a system. But men also, as people, as individuals, can support men as a system, the patriarchy, can support and be misogynistic and can hold prejudice and bias in ways that, like, it is, your life is on the line if they do not deconstruct. Like, your livelihood, your relationship with your kids, like your literal life can be taken away by a man who has not deconstructed. So you have to be very careful about the person you share life with if they happen to be raised as a man, are a man, exist as a man, and have not deconstructed patriarchy. And this is why no matter who the content creator is, especially if they're a man who still exhibits and utilizes misogyny as a part of their platform, I am very suspicious because, again, like, I get it. You're the best quote we have, but no wonder the world isn't healing when this is the best we have. And I'm not saying people can't get better. I'm not saying people are all the same, but I'm saying too many men rise to prominence in the left and aren't really deconstructing intersectional, aren't really truly progressive, they don't believe in consent. Informed consent. Informed. She was never given informed consent. How, you know what I'm saying? And look, I don't know if this is a liberal bubble. Like, maybe this is a liberal bubble. And he's like, we're drunk at a bar, which I brought up in my podcast. Liberals do the whole, like, intoxicated is partially consent. You're at a bar, you're drinking. Progressive values say you must be informed. So maybe that's the discrepancy, right? Okay, so going back to the victim, this is Pollyanna. I don't know if her name is Polly or if that's just her username, but...
And I bounced. I wasn't ready to admit what he had done, but I was stressing, like, you didn't accept consent when I said no about the room.
Exactly.
So he calls me, and I replay the whole...
Exactly. Or him calling, him demanding for the room. Come on, we know what that is.
whole thing. And again, I say, we were at the bar, you had your hand on my thigh, it escalated, and I left. Do you think he asked me what he did? No. Nope. Didn't ask me what the escalation was. Now imagine if that were me and
Did he look at his phone log and ask, hey, why did I call you 10 times?
Somebody said to me, you were drunk, it escalated, I left. like whatever it was bad enough that that person just fucking bounced, I would have been like, what did I do? He didn't ask. And I think that's when I finally had enough pretending that that's all it was. In fact, he was more worried about who I had told.
Oh,
He said it wasn't my fault and that he accepted responsibility, but also he was drunk and didn't remember things. But also, hey, who did you tell?
fuck. Exactly. Oh man, I'm super embarrassed, bro. I'm mortified. Oh man, I'd hate for people to think I'm this guy. I'm definitely not this guy. You don't think I'm this guy, right? You don't think that of me, do you? I would hate for you to see me like this. Man, what you think about me really matters, and I just want you to respect me. Like, you don't think I'm a bad guy, do you? We've all heard it before, girl.
So I called Matt after. And I said, Matt, I said, did I tell you what the escalation was? Because I just kept calling it an escalation for 4 days. Because I didn't want to admit what my friend had done. God damn it, I didn't want to cry on the internet. And he said, no, I figured you'd tell me when you were ready. I said, he put his hand in my pants and he got fucking mad. He's like, Mandy, that is sexual assault. And I said, I know. He said, I stopped it and I left and I did everything I could. I did everything right. But yeah, I know. And I said, should I call Jordan and tell him? Because he claims he doesn't remember. He's like, it's up to you. But yeah. And I called Jordan. I said, Jordan, you know, I said there was an escalation. And I asked you, do you remember what happened? Because you didn't ask me. Didn't ask me what the escalation was. Do you remember? He's like, no. I said, you put your hand in my pants, Jordan. That's what you did. And he didn't really have much to say. Again, he kept just saying, I'm so sorry. I don't remember, but I take responsibility.
Yeah, him being like, I don't remember, but I take responsibility. I understand we're not trained to, this sounds really weird. I know we're not trained to know what to do when we make a mistake, but I'm going to be real, like truly accidental misreadings of consensual situations, they don't look like this. Does that make sense? Like, you know, you misread a cue, you misread a social cue, you thought they were leading in for, it doesn't look like this. The aftermath doesn't look like this. And you know how conservatives do this thing where it's like, I'm afraid she's going to revoke consent and falsely accuse me. Most of the people that I've ever seen fumbled or there's been like a misreading have always managed to truly communicate and like come up with a solution. Because I do think there's maybe it's like more intuitive or something, but there is a distinct difference between like, oh, this felt wrong and dirty. It's the shame. It's his need to hide it. You know, like his need to hide it, his like guilt feeling makes me go like, oh, you did something wrong and you know it and you're not going to fix it. Because like, I think the nuance is so slight that you might not be able to see it, but I think that's why victims aren't believed, because I think a lot of people can't tell the difference, but like, you know, something went wrong. You're like, oh, this feels bad. You know, this is a bad example, but you kind of know when your cat or your dog does something naughty and you don't know it, but when you look at them, they show you a sign. You're like, what did you do? That's what he sounds like to me. I'm like, oh, what did you do? You know, what was it? That's what it is like he's acting like that, which tells me so you do know it was wrong. So you know what I'm saying? Something like, it's very hard to tell, but it often looks like this. A lot of sexual assault is especially like this. Somebody you know, somebody who takes advantage, somebody who says, well, maybe she'll be down for it. He'll be down for it. They'll be down for it. Somebody who like, you know, like that is why people have a hard time believing you, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean it's not true. It's why we have to reframe why we believe victims. We believe victims. I said this on stream the other day. We believe victims when they tell us these stories in the same way we believe people when they tell us what their name is. Because yes, people could be lying. Most people are not lying about these things. Most people are not lying about their name, what they do for a living, or when they've been assaulted. Most people do not lie about sexual assault. You can assume they're telling you the truth.
I said, I don't know what to do with this. I have to go. And I let him go. And as people in the Chicago group found out what had happened, other people came forward. I will not speak on their behalf. Their stories are never going to be mine to tell. But they came forward for me to corroborate my experience so that I knew I wasn't alone. I was the one who had someone.
Not that he needs to have more than one victim, but I heard someone say once that usually it takes 4 to 5 victims for the first victim to come forward. Where there's one, there's more. You're rarely going to be someone's first. And the fact that when she came out, more people came out is literally so predictable and exactly the point. There's a pattern.
It was only me that I'm aware of that he tried to put his hand down their pants. I've seen some videos of people saying, all four women. No, that happened to me. There were varying things that happened to other women that were deeply inappropriate or across the line, but that was what he did to me, his friend. Which brings us to today. I saw this video from this woman who is super fucking self-righteous and trying to defend Jordan by saying, well, he's been in the trenches. It is giving grab him by the pussy. I'm rich and I can do this. What the fuck are you talking about? She said,
the guy was in the trenches in Minneapolis. Have you been there?
And to that I say, yes, I have. I have been in the fucking trenches, ma'am. I have been fighting this, as has every woman that was involved. And it wouldn't matter if we were or we weren't. You don't get to give a pass for sexual assault to somebody just because they're doing one thing good. I came forward because we as creators have incredible access to people, many who are vulnerable. They look up to us. They trust us. And I didn't want anyone else to experience this, because also at a lot of these things, there's alcohol. And it's clear, Jordan, that you have a problem. And I hope you get help. I really fucking do. Because I have been.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he can't be drinking if that's how irresponsible he is. But also, that's kind of why I think he drinks. Oh, I was drunk, bro. I didn't know. See how that almost sounds like you're getting drunk to get away with it?
Absolutely destroyed by this. She also asked this.
Jolly Ginger, where are you guys at? I want to need some support for this man.
And I hope it's okay that I answer, but Jolly was.
Oh, damn. That's sad that people are already advocating on behalf of him because he was in the trenches, which is exactly my point at the beginning of stream. No one will ever be my favorite enough to not hold them accountable for what they did. Remember that, and remember that my record should show that. Anytime a victim has come forward, I've always cut off ties. Anytime there's a pattern of abusive behavior that is clearly more than just like, quote, personal problems and you're dealing with it in therapy because everyone's got problems, I will cut ties. That anytime I see enough of a pattern, and no matter who you are, I think my favorite person said it, I don't know who they are, but it was a person on TikTok said, I love Mandani. This is my last night of loving him. And tomorrow I will hold him accountable because tomorrow he will be my mayor. And exactly. Today I love him, but tomorrow he will be my mayor. And so we have to hold people to that status, right?
On the phone checking on me. The amount of people who have checked on me. Because Jolly understood that what happened to me was never okay. And it wasn't my fault. So you want to know where Jolly is? Why he's not on here defending someone? It's because he was checking on me. I never.
Wait, Jolly? Who's Jolly? Do I have their name written down? I don't know which one that is yet. Hold on. There's a lot of people involved here.
Wanted this. I'm getting nothing from this. I'm not even monetized on this account. So before you're all like, it's over a minute, she's making me, no, the fuck I'm not. I never wanted this. This doesn't benefit me. And lying? I have no reason to lie.
And how embarrassing too, because she has to come out because she doesn't, who will, because, it's scary to come out and be the only one. And even when there's 10 of you, it's scary because no one believes even 10 of you, right? So now she's come out and, now it's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult. I don't think people understand. It's really difficult. And then people just paint you as like that thing. And that sucks. You want to be taken seriously. You want to do all these things. And people don't believe victims. So now you're a liar. It's like multi-layered. It's a big deal, And I don't blame any victim for not coming forward. It's so hard. But it really means everything that she did,
thing I'm gaining, I have lost so much.
Oh, is she Polly Jolly? Because the guy that was defending Jordan called her Jolly. Oh, thank you, chat. Thank you.
As far as my friendship with Jordan, that's done. I've removed any videos of us, any content that we have made together.
That's the other sign of moving past a person is taking down the content you've done together. That's a big deal to me. I think really well of her because a lot of people keep that stuff up and I don't understand why. Like, why are you keeping up your collabs with predators? Take them down. Because people are going to see that video out of context and think they're a cool content creator. Take it down.
Because honestly, it's really fucking traumatizing to see. I don't want those memories. I thought I knew Jordan. I didn't do this to hurt him. I didn't do this to cancel him. I did this because women could be harmed based on the patterns of behaviors we saw. And I did this because I knew what he did to me. I don't want there to be someone else who gives him their room number. Jordan needs help. And based on his statement, he says he's going to get it. I'm not pressing charges at this time. I'm not ruling out anything. And if he gets help, great. And if he doesn't, there are things on the table.
I mean, either way, even if he gets help, right? Like the accountability is a part of that process. It looks different. I don't believe in punishment, But I do believe like his life should look different if he's really sorry. But a punishment, like I don't believe in like you know how I feel about prison systems. Like, but I do believe like predators, sexual assaulters, you can hold them accountable without punishing them. You know, this is very nuanced, but I don't want people to think that they won't be held accountable. But punishment is a very specific word. A very specific word, you know? So, but I think honestly, you shouldn't be following him. That's a part of that repercussion, or that part of that consequence is that he should lose a following. You know what I mean? Like, but he won't, right? Because that's how it works. I mean, Trump is president, you know?
So I really hope he does.
And he should leave his platform. See, the problem is like he's going to be out of work, and we can't have predators out of work. You know what I'm saying? Because like they can't, you know. But also, he should leave his job. That's why I say if you're really sorry for what you did, you would change the way you show up on the internet.
But he will never be my friend. And that is on him.
Yeah, friendship over, bro.
That
Good
was a
for
decision
her.
he made.
Exactly.
You say you don't remember what happened, Jordan. The problem is, I'm never going to forget. I trusted Jordan.
I'm not going to forget either, girl. He just went down in my memory as definitely someone not to pay attention to. Okay, let's go to people's reactions. This is Stella.
I have to say is for my fellow female content creators out there who do go to these get-togethers or do collaborate with other influencers on here, just be careful. Don't have your guard down. I mean, these girls probably saw him out and were like, oh, we're safe. He stands up for women's rights. And then the next thing you know, his fucking hands are down their pants.
Exactly.
Just be careful.
It's an easy dunk for these liberals / truly not informed on consent men to just say one good thing about women and against men, and all the women decide they're safe. But you don't know that.
You don't know anybody's true intentions. For me personally, I only know my intentions. I can only trust myself. And if someone...
I will say, unless you meet a person that you really feel is very similar to you in terms of that character, because like, I know I would never lie, cheat, violate person's consent. So you got to find people who you really feel that way about versus people that blur the lines or play in the gray.
were to ever turn around to me and say, Stella, I don't trust you.
But also you can never know. So like, you know, you don't want to be paranoid, but you want to be prepared. You don't want to assume everybody's a rapist, but you want to assume that a lot of the men who have deconstructed are going to blur the lines into assault, which is like, I know men don't want to hear this, but until you guys tackle patriarchy and its relationship to entitlement when it comes to people's bodies, you are literally, even if you don't realize it, either the perpetrator yourself or you support the perpetrators because they're your boys. No?
Your intentions, good. Good, that's what you're supposed to say. No offense taken. The dangers of social media aren't just for children, they're for adults too. And I can understand being disappointed, some of you out there, but some of you are saying we shouldn't be eating our own right now. Are you crazy? That's an insane thing to say.
Exactly. That is an insane thing to say. Like, that's the worry I have about this idea of like no criticism, nothing, keeping people like in line. You know what I mean?
That's almost just as bad as him using the fact that he had drank too much as an excuse. What?
Exactly. Oh, he's one of us. He's doing good. He's anti-Trump. Why are you going after him? We can't have infighting right now. Bro, kick him out, bro. Kick him out.
You're going to take the one thing a lot of us all have in common, having had one too many, me personally, and use it as an excuse?
Exactly.
The only thing I've ever had to apologize after a night out is vomiting in someone's car.
Hey, maybe not
or
a
that
car,
time
but
I got
yeah.
arrested because I told a cop to go fuck himself.
Hey.
But a drunk woman's mouth is a sober woman's thoughts, and I have always wanted to tell a cop to go fuck themselves.
So,
the alcohol just gave me the courage to do it. You get what I'm saying?
Well, okay, first of all, I don't think that's actually true. For the record, my true self is not my drunk self. Otherwise, you know, we'd all be alcoholics. Our real selves are sober and grounded. Our real selves are deconstructed. Our real selves are also understanding our relationship through trauma. So like, I don't really believe, you know, your real self is like intoxicated. Studies have shown that's actually not very true. So I think it's a little reductive, but you know, I don't know this lady, so I don't know where she's getting that from, but okay.
So maybe you shouldn't just be blaming it on the alcohol. I hope the women involved are okay.
Yeah.
And
I think she sounds like a supportive girly, but I don't know where she's coming from. But that's technically not true, and I'm too much of a accurate person to let that slide. But I think the message is clear. We need to support the victims. Okay. So I want to show you this. This is from some of the men in the community. I thought we could look at this.
AKA me and Jordan, AKA Offwagon, we have a history because I have a problem with a pattern of behavior that I recognized a year ago. But let me start off and say that he is not sorry for what he did. He is sorry that he got caught. I know this because he has not posted shit about this situation on Substack or on YouTube, which is where a majority of our income as content creators come from. He's trying to isolate this damage and weasel his way out of it, which is the pattern of behavior that I'm going to talk about. If you do not-
and wait, pause. Look at this. In regards to recent accusations, he didn't clarify what they were. He wasn't transparent with his audience who would see this post. He didn't. This has been done by so many people on the internet. They're not explicitly detailed with what they did. So people who aren't in the know are like, hey, what's happening? Who's what? And then they ignore it and don't care because, oh, people are always getting accusations. This is deliberate. This is deliberate. Yeah.
Understand the seriousness of what he did. Let me ask you one question. What would have happened if one of these women was passed out alone with him in a hotel room?
Oh,
That's
God.
why this shit is so serious. He was the nice guy that women...
Wait, that's true. That's so scary. I mean, we already knew because he was incessantly trying to get into her hotel room. But if he was willing to do that in public while they were all drunk, imagine what would have happened if nobody was there to see it.
Trusted. And to other male content creators, we have a responsibility to conduct ourselves and hold ourselves to a higher standard. Because Offwagon's actions didn't just mentally fuck up the victims who are going to have trust issues for a long time. But this happened at a political event.
And it just adds to that narrative that once again, like, men can't be trusted. You guys need to work on a rebrand by holding your bros accountable.
Where content creators act in a professional capacity, collaborating with important political figures.
If only political content creators could start acting more professional, and I understand you think you can't because our president is just the biggest buffoon we've ever seen in our whole lives, but that's part of the problem. No one's acting like the adult. No one's being the adult in the room.
Don't understand that, get the fuck off of social media. So 9 months ago, me and Jordan were on the Unfuck America tour. Do you guys remember that? There was a lot of controversy. It was plastered
I do remember
all
that.
over the internet. I'm not going to get into the details, but I stand where I stand on that issue because I am not a lying fucking weasel. So when the drama was unfolding, Offwagon made some videos. And those
Wait. No, I don't know what he's talking about. This isn't my bubble. Anybody got an update on this?
videos minimized his role in the controversy, and he tried to deflect responsibility onto other content creators, one of which picked his ass up at 3.
Wait, it's kind of in my head, but I don't remember the Unfuck America tour. I do remember something happened. It's there, like something. I remember something. This is why I consume too much information all day. I remember there was something about the Unfuck America tour. It was a big deal. What was it? What was the thing?
In the morning because he was too intoxicated at a bar to drive and get back to the hotel room. And that content creator, she had to get up at 5 in the morning because this was a professional.
Wait, is this the same event or is this different now? Is this another event? I'm gonna look at comments. Isn't he also married? I feel bad for his wife. It was Mandy Ray of all people. She was one of my favorite followers. Is this another woman? Oh, does he know about another woman?
Event. And I had a problem with him doing that. So I said, fuck it. And I released all of the chat logs where we were all on a group thread while this controversy was happening because I wanted to just squash it. And in those chat logs was shit that Jordan said that contradicted what he posted online. It showed that he was lying and he was trying to weasel his way out of the controversy. Pattern of behavior. And he was mad at me because his ass got caught lying and his audience found out that he was lying to him. So that was 9 months ago. A month ago, me and Jordan are at a DC rally together at a professional event. And we're all socializing at a bar. And I was trying to get a video of all of the content creators. And in my camera, I see Offwagon duck down and try to weasel his way out of my camera lens. Then I see him and his friend, who I'm not going to name, chitter-chatting, talking shit. And that made me very uncomfortable. Because the moment I got there, Jordan was side-eyeing me. So I confronted him.
Apparently, if you Google Unfuck America tour, there was like a whole bunch of controversies with funding. And it looks like a lot of people had to leave it. And there was like a whole issue. So I don't know exactly the details, but there definitely was a lot of drama.
and I asked him if they had a fucking problem. Do you have a fucking problem? And immediately he blamed me.
And apparently, sorry, there's a headline that says, oh, shut up. No way. Look who it is. No way.
So continuing my thoughts about the Unfuck America tour. So in the last video I made, I talked
Shout out to Cat Black.
about basically how
Our girl is seriously everywhere.
in all reality, if the goal is to de-radicalize MAGA, right? Something that I think needs to happen probably. They're not going to listen to Black women, even if it's true that Black women right now are not being included in these conversations. And that's a real issue because students no longer have access to a diverse array of opinions because of what the Trump administration is doing, right? But like, since I had those thoughts, a few more things have come out, and it seems a bit like Z has an issue with paying people, with respecting the work of people of color, especially. And this is a little bit worse than we initially thought. It's also come out that apparently some of these creators were told that they were going to get a percentage of the money that was raised. And that was one of the main reasons why they were doing this. And, you know, as a content creator and a public speaker, I am not against anybody getting money. Like,
Okay, so so chat's saying there was a controversy around Unfuck America only being a white man and erudite tour. Erudite? What erudite? What erudite? Like not so erudite or erudite? Who Z is the organizer? Whoa. Cat truly is everywhere. Okay, hold on. Going back to the original. No, not so yes? Kyla? Wait, is this why I know about it subconsciously? Damn, she's really everywhere. Wait, no, really? Wait, not so erudite Unfuck America tour. Oh my God, what? Uh-oh, this channel is just for members. Not so Unfuck America. What? It really is full circle. What the fuck? My God, what is happening? Well, not surprised. We all know Destiny's a predator. So she's involved. Oh my God, what? Interesting. Okay. Pause. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Focus. Okay, let's go back to this passionate brother over here. This man, this homie. Okay, let's see.
For ruining his reputation online simply because I was transparent in releasing the chat logs to squash an issue that was destroying a very important organization. Again, I stand where I stand on that issue. So I told him that if he had a fucking issue, we can go outside and we can handle it any way that he wants to. Because the last thing that—
No way. Chad is saying the drama started with a friend of Dean being outed as a fuckboy. Well, that makes sense. That's a problem. Ego in this space.
I'm going to deal with is feeling uncomfortable and be—
So are these like liberals? Are these like liberal people more than progressives? Because Erudite's a liberal. Destiny's a liberal.
outroot by somebody who has a pattern of lying and weaseling their way out of consequences and blaming other people for the shit that they post online. He refused, and I look like an asshole, which I am to people like him. So to the people watching this,
Interesting.
trust your gut. Just because they have almost 1 million followers does not mean they are trustworthy people.
True.
Trust your gut. Your gut is not going to steer you wrong, because in this case, my gut feeling was spot on. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach my daughter.
Okay. And then, okay, this is the craziest connection. Because again, I'm not in these bubbles. Okay. So I just started following Jamel. So, okay, this is Jamel. I just started following him. This is his presence on the internet. Okay. 290,000 followers. He's got all these great TikToks. Da, 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 da. So then I come across, this is him. This is Jordan. This is the guy that's being accused. But I noticed he was doing a stitch battle with Jamel. And I was like, what is this? So this came first, okay? So let's see. Watch. I'll just show you a little bit of it.
Misleading. So once again, I will reiterate that my accusation stands.
So this guy is still accusing me of being misleading. And I watched his entire response to me. And I figured out what was happening. Now, the video—
Okay, hold on. Watch.
Me.
Came into a video I did, and this gentleman
Me.
came into a video I did about institutional investors and residential home buying and accused me basically of lying to my audience.
So I did a video recently on the residential housing market, and somebody in the comments told me that this particular creator had debunked the
Now, this is 2023. Just keep that in mind.
idea that investors are driving up housing costs. Tagged me in one of these videos of him just talking. No citations, no statistics, no sources. In my ever so humble opinion, no legitimacy. Then the the commenter tagged me in another video where he did.
Okay, they're going back and forth, right?
He commented on and has gone through are videos that are responding to very narrow questions or very narrow comments. A narrow comment isn't the big problem institutional investors, right?
So then what we have here is, first of all, victims, which we are devastated for. Then we have an extra layer of the politics of it. Then we have the added layer of the ethics and morals. So the morals, personal, what do we personally do as content creators? The ethics of how does this impact everybody else, right? And so it's this added layer of what do we do, which again brings me back to the beginning of today's stream, which was I understand the desire to see us not criticizing each other on the quote left. But at the end of the day, like too many of us are not deconstructing. Like too many of us are not actually doing the work, and your work should show up. Like if you've changed internally, it will show up externally. And there's a lot of people who keep saying, like this predator did, right? Look at his statement again. His statement is like, I'm going to go to counseling. I'm going to seek help. Okay, girl, but if the internal has changed, the external will show it. So where is the proof in the pudding? Where is that proof? And I understand that like it takes a while. These things won't happen overnight, but allow us to criticize even our favorites. Like allow us to criticize. These are pretty big people, right? Almost 1 million followers on TikTok. And by the way, remember, who was that other guy Hassan was hanging out with? The redheaded lawyer guy that even Olay knew. Olay and both Hassan knew that guy. We covered him as well. You know what I mean? It's like, guys, just because they have a cool TikTok following, just because they're popular doesn't mean they're good. And it feels like sometimes bigger content creators really fall for it. Hassan said, and again, I don't mean to make this about, oh, this is why Brittany, da-da-da. When I made my video about Destiny, wiping my hands of that community before the real allegations of predatory behavior even came out, I was like, I need to wipe myself of this community. It has been the most toxic year of my life. I'm out. Okay. Hassan saw my video and decided not to watch it on stream because he said like, oh, I don't want to like review these small creators in case they're like clout chasing basically. But the issue with doing that, and I'm not saying he had to watch my video. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact that he saw my thumbnail and saw my face and just went, yeah, I'm not watching this. But he watched Ryan Beard's video on Hassan, who, by the way, Ryan Beard took clips from my video in their video, which it's a good video. And Ryan's like, oh yeah, bro, I took clips from your own video to make this video. I was like, yeah, I know. And like, we talked about it. Like Hassan will watch Ryan's video, but he wants to watch mine. And then he was like, oh, in case they're cloud chasing. Isn't that the variation of saying like, if you've been harassed by Destiny's community and you talk about it, you're cloud chasing? Okay. And then on top of it, he does collab with some people that are about the same size as me. So question mark. And then he decides, well, I'll collab with people that are bigger because that's safer. And it ends up being a predator anyways. So much for it mattering what size your audience has, you know? So what I like when we have this conversation, it's not that I'm trying to take down your favorite. I'm trying to say, though Hassan is the guy, we should question why he's the guy. He's not as bad as the Destinies and the lawyer guy, law overruled or whatever. He's not this guy as far as I know. We don't have any data for that. What we do have data, though, is for consistent misogyny, a lack of introspection, an admittance of never going to therapy, a lack of knowing why. And if you are a man built under patriarchy, and especially a man who's considered good looking enough that people, quote, throw themselves at you, you are more than tempted. You are more than given an opportunity for predatory behavior. Okay? And the fact that nothing's ever come out about Hassan is the greatest sign in his favor, but it's not a guarantee, but it is a good sign. But lots of people don't speak up for many years. So allow me to be suspicious of somebody who isn't growing or getting better, who, though is left, isn't exactly doing it very fast. Because for some of us, and notice the girls and the femmes and the they, thems in this space, we learn so quickly. We update our vocabulary. We show up so much stronger on stream. We are so much faster and quicker, okay? We are so good. We work so hard. And so, you know, non-binary people, even he, hims, like there are a lot of he, hims out here that are doing the work. Okay, D'Angelo just had one of the greatest comebacks of all time. We love D'Angelo. And it was like I saw a great growth in D'Angelo, right? I love an Elliot saying, I love so many people on this platform, but I feel like Hassan could never. I feel like in the biggest way, in the same way that we said at the beginning of the stream, it's because he's Glinda. Okay, maybe Glinda movie too, but he's still not an Elphaba. Because you can't be that popular and be an alphaba. And if you're not an alphaba, how progressive really are you? And that's okay. Just an example of this whole thing that is frustrating for me, okay, in this process is like, here's another leftist guy who I don't even think is really a left. Like, I think he's probably a liberal who is anti-Trump. And oh, that's the other red flag. If your whole personality is being anti-Trump, you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. There are Republicans whose whole identity is anti-Trump. Being anti-Trump isn't enough. It's just the beginning. Okay? And that's kind of my concern about this whole bubble. I'm devastated for the victims. I'm devastated for all of us who keep giving people our energy, who keep being told these people are safe, who keep being told, oh, these people are progressive, oh, they're liberal, they're anti-Trump, they fight for women, only to realize like, oh my God, wait. It's exhausting. You know what I mean? Yeah, Trump said because when Trump is gone, then what? Yeah, what then? Okay, so Trump is out of office. Now what? It's like your whole personality being anti-Trump just is the beginning, bro. It's not even enough. Everyone wants a gold star for doing the absolute basics. And look, I'm pretty harsh about this. No gold star for the basics, unless, you know, maybe you're a therapist or like a coach or something. You might want to help people out. But like, I'm not your coach and I'm not your therapist. No gold star for the basics. We're public figures. We have a responsibility. And that responsibility, at least in my bubble here with you, is a dedication and a commitment to growing and change as new data comes out. Because we're not about to get stale like our parents did. We are not about to pull a boomer and stop updating our language and how we show up in the world just because we're comfortable. Better to be uncomfortable and growing than to stay comfortable and become a bigot. And all of us are susceptible to bigotry. All of us have to fight the bigotry because you're not, you know, just because you're anti-Trump doesn't mean you're not a bigot. Just because you're anti-Trump doesn't mean you're not racist. Just because you're anti-Trump doesn't mean you're not a homophobe or a transphobe. Okay? And this is why I'm so passionate about this. I know it sounds like I'm just harping and I'm harping, but that's also the misogyny. I'm not harping, I'm speaking. And it would just be so great if people could listen. And if I truly am wrong, I will also listen. If I'm wrong, I get it. I've been wrong before. I can be wrong again. But I'm not harping. I'm speaking.